our brain is capable of having an attention span of something like 90 minutes. Work on that. Work for 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, get your butt outside. No one forces you to stay in the office. I'm sorry, there is no company that will ever tell you you have no right to stand up and even take a walk. No one will ever do that. Breaking the gray.
Welcome back to Rebel Scientist Podcast. I'm your host, Chantel, and I have the CEO of Sarah Thrive and Rebel Scientist herself, Sarah Turner, here today. Hi, Sarah.
Hey, Chantel.
Hey. And today we have the visionary behind Lifespanning. We're so excited to have you. Hi, Jean. Welcome.
Hey, thank you, guys, girls, for having me here. I'm very happy to be on this podcast and on stage with you.
Amazing.
Super cool. Maybe one of the things we can start with, John, is because we're kind of doing this Biohackers podcast, and you're very famous for being one of the top biohackers. But you've changed your kind of description to Lifespanner. Maybe you can tell us a bit about that. What's caused the change, and are you no longer a biohacker?
No, and I'm proud of it. Like 23 years into biohacking, I think it's enough to realize that this movement is going nowhere for the reason that it's becoming more and more cultish. When we started, it was already cultish, kind of. But, when you are part of a new movement, you accept it because you kind of feel that you are part of this elite that has advantage of technologies and things, and like you pride yourself for that. But in the long run, and maybe getting older as well, make me realize that there's 8 billion people on this planet that deserve to live longer. And it's not only for the rich people spending $2 million a year or 3 million or whoever is having the biggest bank account. And at the end of the day, we need to realize that biohacking, it's fairly a nonsense, because you cannot hack any biology. We're talking about biology, we're talking about humans. So what is the hack in cellular level or biology in general? So looking at that, and I was looking in the past years of what it was happening, and then I think that the trigger was probably Brian Johnson coming up and like this extreme biohacker trying to convince people that he's the new god on the planet, for the wrong reason, according to my perception. Okay, not speaking for others, but I said, like, there is time for a shift, a change, and making people understand that longevity at large is a very simple thing. And it's not as complicated as Dave Asprey, Ben, or anyone in the biohacking industry has been trying to make it. Like, everybody was like making it so complex that people got overwhelmed by what biohacking could have been. And it's a pity. So I said, like, listen, we need to disrupt this movement, create something new, fresh air, make people understand that we're not hacker, we're not hacking any hospital, we're not hacking any biology. We are just making ourselves better, in a better shape, in a better position to live longer and better, because living longer, just living longer, make no sense either. When you look at the trajectory of people today, they live to 80, 90, but the 10 years of their last part is a disaster. And I want to change that trajectory. I want to make people, even if we were to live 90 years, but 90 years of vitality, of fulfilling lives. And that's how I came to this. I'm not an English born person, but I invented a word, lifespanning. And I said, like, it's the bridge between healthspan and lifespan. It makes people understand that this is what we're chasing, mix of both, lifespanning, a simple word that said it all. It's all about natural processes. We're not hacking anything. We're using natural element, natural behaviors. And then on the top of that, you could add some technologies and gadgets and tools, but as long as you don't build that baseline, there is nothing you can do to live longer. It's not a magic pill. Like the our medical system has been unfortunately broken because of that, because we have educated people to expect a magic pill when they have an issue. But the human is made in a way that we shouldn't have any issues if we take care of ourselves in the right way. And this is what lifespanning is about.
I totally agree with you. I'm also not into this whole just for the elite, all of these like injecting peptides and going to special clinics and having stem cells and flying to Honduras or wherever you need to go to get these things done. So maybe you can expand a bit on your philosophy then, what is this new lifespanning philosophy? Because I would love to hear something that is a bit more inclusive.
Thanks. Yeah, I think it's important to maybe state this. Like, yes, lifespanning is very simple. Is reminding people where we're coming from, what made us who we are today, according to the evolution of the species, Darwinism 100%. So hunter gatherers were walking all the time, living on their circadian rhythm, sleeping when they had to sleep to recover, sprinting when they could, eating clean, and a mix of everything. Never had any diet until they were like forced to have maybe a carnivore diet because it was only meat around, or maybe a vegetarian diet because it was no meat around.
Mm-hmm.
But it was always like transition by transition, but using the natural element, drinking water, walking barefoot, living with the sun when he rises and when he goes down. And the lifespanning concept, it's exactly that, is bringing back the knowledge that we should have if we did a great job, but we didn't. The knowledge that we are built to live that way. So let's go back to the roots. Let's bring people back to waking up in the morning, drinking water, go outside before 10 a.m., take some sun in your eyes, get sunlight exposure, get your immunity boosted because of that, your vitamin D boosted as well. Keep going with the day by walking, grounding, spend some time with yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Meditation is part of it, but if you cannot meditate, just spend some time with yourself. Avoid everything that is high technology and putting your face on the TV as soon as you wake up, or radio or whatever, or internet, and be brainwashed by everything that is happening in this world. And if you live that simple life, honestly, 90% of what you need to live healthier and longer is there. Because at the end of the day, very simply, our humans, our biology is designed to live 220. That's the minimum. That's where we should be. That's where everybody should go. Why we don't go there? Because we eat crap, because we drink shit, because we do shitty things, because we sit down when we finish a meal, because we spend so much time sitting down in front of a computer, because we don't go outside and we take a car to go to work, and from work we stay in a cubicle for 8 hours where our brain is not even designed for that. And then we go back home and we eat heavy meals, we drink alcohol, we sleep on the sofa, and we keep eating potato chips and drinking beer. And then we end up by having diabetes and obesity and all these things. And then we turn back and we go like, how did that happen? What happened to
Yeah.
me?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's pretty simple when you think about going back to a primal life. But what about the fact, we all, for better or for worse, most people are now a little bit chained to their computers because there's not much industry that's now manual. Even thinking back in my lifetime, I used to be a chemist, and then you would
Yeah.
actually do the experiments, you get the
Yeah.
test tubes,
And
line them up. People
and
don't do that. Everything's automated, everything's computerized.
yeah.
So how can we kind of respect that part of our biology but still live in this modern world?
Well, it's using the circadian rhythm is probably the best standard to use in this process. Um, and your internal clock, as well as the ultradian rhythm, which is even more important. Yes, we need to sit down because we need to do work on computer, and it's just the beginning because AI is going to even change that drastically even more. But let's pretend we're still in the same society now and tomorrow. So what do we need to do? We need to understand some things. That first of all, what commands our body? It's our brain. How function your brain? Our brain sends signal to the body. The body responds and signal back to the brain. How does that work? On the rhythm, the ultradian rhythm. At a cellular level, you have a rhythm that dictates the number of uh, cycle that you have in your cell and muscle and hormone triggers and everything. So understand that concept, and you'll understand that, first of all, you're not meant to be sitting 8 hours. So follow that. How should you be doing it? Like, our brain is capable of having an attention span of something like 90 minutes. Work on that. Work for 90 minutes. After 90 minutes, get your butt outside. No one forces you to stay in the office. I'm sorry, there is no company that will ever tell you you have no right to stand up and even take a walk. No one will ever do that. So do it. And after 90 minutes, do it. Take fresh air. It's equal to meditation if you do it for 20 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
So your brain resets. Then you can do breath work. No one teaches our kid how to breathe. It's primal. It's so important. So education is part of life spanning, of course. And then if you have tasks to do, make sure that you have turned off every attention trigger, like deficit attention trigger, phone, email. You have a job to do. Don't look at your email. Focus on the job. You take some time, mobilize some time during the day to respond to emails. No one is on the emergency to have an email answer right away. Otherwise, pick up the phone if you have an emergency. But honestly, if you expect people to answer your email or text messages, why don't you call? And I think it's this whole concept of re-educating ourselves to have the right behaviors that will help us to align our biology and our brain in a way that it's going to be very easy, and it's not complicated. Of course it can be overwhelming. I was working recently on the life spanning method. It's step by step what I do during the day to make to try to live longer. And I looked at how many steps are in my life on a daily basis. I do so many things that today I don't even think about doing it. There's about 80 things that I do during the day. Waking up, taking a glass of water, putting some lemon, salt, having a walk, taking a bit of infrared, spending the first half hour of the morning. It's mandatory for me to see the sunrise and do a breath work. And all these simple steps like that, they're so part of who I am today that they're part of my life. I don't think about it. So of course, if I tell someone there is 80 things I do in my life every day, it can be like, wow, you're worse than Brian Johnson. I'm sorry. It's not it's not regimented that way. It's all one after the other and processes. It's 80 small increments that are in my daily routine and that everybody does but maybe differently.
Yeah.
But everybody has about 80 to 100 steps in his daily life, I don't know, taking 5 minutes to breathe, or brush your teeth, or those are steps, and like a milestone in your day. So we're designing the life spanning method accordingly to that, and people can choose how many steps they want to implement in their lives. And we're making it easy because it is overwhelming for anybody to hear like, oh, 80 stuff to implement in my I'm not going to start. I don't have the mind to start now. But when you look back and you say, okay, for the next week, I'm going to wake up, I'm going to stretch, I'm going to drink a glass of water and put some lemon, and then I'm going to go outside. are only a few steps. I do that for a week. My life is changing.
Yeah.
I guarantee you, in a week, your life has changed. You're going to be so pumped up because your brain will respond to that. You know, the reward pattern of our brain will say, damn, I feel good. I want more. Do 5 things more. And in less than 3 months, you're at the top level of where you should be.
Yeah.
Simple and easy. No biohacking, nothing.
Nothing? Not any biohacking, John? You don't use any of the tech?
Yeah, I
There's
do.
no
I do.
metrics or
No, I do,
Or
but
rings.
yeah. Well, no rings. Those things are addictive. I'm against, like, I'm gonna wear a Oura or a Ultrahuman once in a while just to check in with my body, because
Yeah.
I'm a true believer in proprioception, and I've learned how to understand and listen to my body. But yes, I do use biohacking. I don't call them biohack. That's the thing. Yeah, I do infrared therapy every day. So of course it's a biohack if you call it that way. But infrared therapy, if you go outside from 4 a.m. to 8 a.m., you have a freaking high dose
Oh,
of
for sure.
infrared. And
Yeah,
it's
agreed.
not biohacking, it's
Yeah.
our planet giving us that. So who said that it is biohacking? And drinking water with hydrogen inside, what the heck is biohacking? So lemonade and sparkling water is biohacking as well. This is where we're coming. The biohacking industry today came to a nonsense because of that. People have seen attraction because it was booming. So you've seen anything that makes sense coming in this industry and saying, oh, I just made a chocolate that is biohacking because it contains zinc and flavonoid, and it's pure biohacking. Freak, chocolate was out 100 years ago, and no one considered it
Yeah.
biohacking.
Well, the same with breathing, right? I mean, yoga has
Right.
been doing that for years. I mean, the whole alternative nasal breathing, the whole thing. I mean, breath work is certainly not a new thing. Do you know, it used to be called alternative therapy, and it kind of a lot of things got rebranded biohacking.
And now
But
there's longevity. I feel like longevity is the
longevity.
main word currently.
Let's talk a bit about longevity, Jean, because that is something where I feel like there is some strange stuff going on. And I know that you are involved in that kind of movement where we're not talking about kind of living your best, long, healthy life. We're actually talking about extending human lifespan. Some people are saying 180 years. Some people are saying 120. Some people are looking at things like green sharks and saying, why can't we live as long as them? They're 800 or whatever they are. So what do you think about this new way of thinking about things where people are modifying genes maybe, or, fundamentally changing biology?
Yeah. I think that it's a great concept, like changing biology. We already do that by our thoughts and what we eat and the environment we're in. Like we're changing the epigenetic, but to the ultimate level, what you eat and what you do and what you think can actually, and there are publication on that, can actually change your genetics, your deep DNA. And of course, you're not going to see it now right away, but you're going to transmit that to your kids and in next generation. So you are in the perpetual evolution of modifying your gene. Now, playing God and modifying genes in a way that it makes you live longer, there is some salt to put in that concept. If it's to modify, like using CRISPR to modify a certain part of the gene in order to avoid cancer, Alzheimer's diseases, or whatsoever, 100% for that. 100%. Now, if it's to change the color of your eyes or to get more muscle or more hair or what, this is accessory, this is gadget, that makes no sense. And I think it's like the common sense, it's a common sense of human should probably start thinking about putting some regulation into that in a way that we're not shifting in a world that will be completely artificial, because sooner or later, in less than 3 years, I predict that we're going to have robots walking in the street, and you won't see the difference between robots and humans. So we're already going in that direction, and we better be careful if we want to safeguard who we are as human. Otherwise, we're just going to self-exterminate ourselves, and it's not cool. Because for me, when I started the lifespanning movement, I had a dream. Is just like, I don't care much about making an impact on my generation. I don't care much about making an impact too much on the following generation. It's just like, I wanted this movement to get started because it's going to go far away, because we're going to shift the way we educate our kids, and our kids will shift the way they are educating their kids. And this is the beauty of it. My name will be forgot in a way or the other, but lifespanning, the concept, will remain in a way that people will think like, oh, my grandma taught me that I need to go outside and take some sun, and I teach that to my kids. Damn, I'm going to be happy. So let's go back to genetics. Stem cell for me is also a part that I do love in longevity. I think that stem cell are probably the longevity magic pill in a way. Now, again, the stem cell industry is going wild, very, very wild. Like, no one has really an idea where the stem cells are coming from. We're playing kind of a very bizarre game on, like, when people say, I'm going to inject you 80 million stem cell in your vein by IV. Oh, where are they coming from? Who's the donor? What do you do with that?
I think that's
Yeah.
the thing, is the ethics, like what you're mentioning now. There's a very fine dance, and even seeing some of the things Sarah and I have heard about that people are doing, even if the intention starts off really good, especially when it comes to genes, like you say, it's like, okay, now I've always wanted to look a certain way or something. It's like, where's that measurement of too far?
Chantel's talking about some research that we've been looking into where people are making like a viable clone in order to replace your organs. So it's not embryonic research because there's no fertilized egg. It's just a clone made out of your stem cells. So where are the ethics there? Because it's potentially, is that an actual person? Because it's not been made from, an egg and a sperm. It's made just from reproducing your own cells. We've seen that, we've been at these events and seen this research. They've already done it in mice, so it's coming. So
it's coming, and it's coming fast.
But that was the interesting thing, and why I mentioned was because I asked the man who was working on this research. We all kind of were standing around, and he was like, well, it's not his fault. Someone's going to do it. So his whole concept is someone, and it's true with a lot of stuff, right? It's going to happen. That is
true. Actually, someone's going to do it. Greed is good in a certain way for some people, and I think that people goes in research because they want funding. You're coming from the research side, Sarah, so you know the grind. Then, like, sometimes we sell our soul to the devil because we're in a quest of money, and we don't care about the impact, and we justify ourselves by saying, oh, if I don't do it, someone else will do it. I think it falls down to, we need to be mindful on everything we do on this planet. Why this industry has ultra processed food is the same concept. It's exactly the same concept. If one didn't do it, the other one would have done it. So I'm going to do it, and I'm going to poison the whole society, because otherwise, at least I'm going to get money out of it, and I'm going to beat my competitors. And it's the same for every aspect of life, including genetic and longevity. That's where I'm as a dreamer, I could cry on that, because it's sad to see humans behaving that way, instead of behaving in the sense that we should help each other. We should love each other, and we should actually work all together to make this world better and to make people live longer, healthier, not chasing money without the conscience of what you are doing. And that's why, this is why I'm in this business now, and I was in different business before. It's just like, you know the story, Sarah. I sold my company to a
Oh, for
public
sure, yeah.
company. Yeah,
Yeah,
and
I'm sure. Yeah, there's
yeah,
ways we could all make more money for sure. This
yeah.
from what we're doing.
It's all, yeah,
But
scams.
but the thing is, John, like people like this guy who's he totally had a clear conscience, because he's saying, if you have somebody whose liver fails, if it's a loved one, and you could give them a clone liver, you would do it. It's kind of like it's not only for the money, it's also for the excitement of science. Like, imagine if
Yeah.
you could replace somebody's brain, because if you're just continually replacing someone, it's like the old story of the
It's
broom
an
that lasts, but you replace the head and you replace the thing. How is it the same thing? But you potentially, that is how you could live for a very long time. Just keep on replacing
right.
the organs.
Yeah, and well, people die by not because they're old. They die because there is organ failure. So replacing organs will definitely extend lifespan. That is, it's happening, and it's going to happen, and we're going to be able to have sensors within our body to predict if any organs are failing, and
Yes.
probably either print them, because probably one day we're going to be able